What's up, everybody? This is Colin here. My buddy Ryan. Welcome to the Keepin It Real Podcast.
Hi, everybody. How's everything going today, Colin?
Everything is good, actually. Fighting a bit of a cold, as I mentioned earlier, but I think I'm okay. I'll survive.
My money's on the cold.
You're an asshole.
Already, he's cussing already. We're not even a minute in. But what do we got to talk about today, Colin? Let's touch on, we're realtors. Let's touch on real estate.
Okay.
In the past week, I had two properties come on the market. I like this story because it can be a bit of an encouraging thing for people and also some advice, because these properties came up and they're both empty lots. And one of them was a bit of a unicorn. So in Portage, lakefront property along beautiful Crescent Lake is at a premium.
Mm-hmm.
There are exactly two lots that are still available to be built on. I had the privilege of listing one of them and it sold immediately. And the other one did as well, the other property. Now, that said, they both sold for full price, which is public information. I've been asked a lot who bought them. I cannot divulge that. If that buyer wants to talk about it, they are certainly welcome to do so. But there was a pile of interest that came after the fact. Other realtors reaching out to me, other clients reaching out, expressing interest, wanting to submit an offer after an offer was accepted, which is not really a thing. You can put a backup offer in, but I'm very honest and I say, like, the chances of you getting this now are pretty slim. And the reason this person had the opportunity is because the second it was listed, I knew what they wanted and I knew what they needed, and they had expressed this desire. So if you're out there hunting unicorns, you should reach out to your realtor or maybe even realtors and tell them what you want, because when those properties come on the market, they go quickly. And if that's what you want, you should communicate that ahead of time, and just so you're not sitting there watching something happen in light speed for this market and missing out on your opportunity.
I think that's good advice.
Yeah.
Perfect. I think we've covered real estate, other than throw back to the Selling Portage podcast.
Yes.
Put it on today.
Yeah, I would have worn my shirt today, but no, I wouldn't have. But it's a little big on me.
It's
now.
too big.
Yeah.
You're just a little guy now.
Yeah, little.
We also had council last night.
We did.
Had some budget deliberations.
Yeah, we had some budget deliberations on some new items that are coming up.
Yeah.
And that was interesting. Our budget will be finalized very soon. That was in a committee meeting. We also had some exciting things happen over the past week. We're talking field houses. We're talking grand openings or reopenings of businesses. We're talking about money coming from the province that was left over from other things that they've committed to us. And
it's a big week to be to live in Portage, that's for sure.
Yeah. And the Prairie Unity Powwow nominated for 2 awards in the
tourism category.
Tourism Manitoba.
Yeah.
So their awards banquet is in April. We'll find out there if we are selected.
Do you remember the categories?
There's one in culture, one in Indigenous tourism, I think. I don't remember the exact wording of the category, but we're nominated for 2. And I've seen the field, and I feel pretty good about our chances of winning both of those.
I'm confident.
Yeah.
And much deserved.
Yeah, a lot of people put in a lot of work, and our sponsors, we're forever thankful for those. And of course, the 2 main sponsors that stepped up immediately when I went and had meetings was Simplot and Principal Supply. So huge thank you going out to those 2 companies who have always supported so many things in this community. We have an entire park named after Simplot. So thank you for that.
That's great. So I have been on pins and needles since last week's podcast. I want to hear this story. I have never heard your story before. And I never knew that something like this even took place.
Well, I'm going to take you on a bit of a journey. I'm hesitant to name names, but of course this is all public record now, but I'll just use first names only. So there was a gentleman, I'll actually change his name. Let's call him Steve. Let's say Steve. I'll change his name just so I'm not, I don't want to, affect him or his family or anything.
We often change names here on the
We
Keep It
do.
Real
Yeah.
podcast.
We'll call him Steve. So this is a gentleman that I competed with for the first time in strongman back in 1999. And he was, a big, strong fella. I didn't know what to think of him. I got to know him over the years. He was running a couple of gyms that he owned. And I'm going to take you on a journey here, folks. He also had a supplement company. And that's a side story for this one, the supplement company. But over the years, this is all circa 2004. It was leading up to the Canadian National Arm Wrestling Championships in Portage la Prairie. I was seeking sponsorship for the event. So I met with Steve at his gym in Winnipeg, and his gym happened to be right across from McPhillips Street Station. So I went there and I met with him, and I was waiting in the lobby, and he walked in, and he was on crutches because he had just torn his Achilles tendon while he had been training. Now, the rationale for me telling you that part of the story is he says, "Oh yeah," he says, "Ryan, go grab my briefcase out of my truck. It's not locked." So I go out to his truck, and if you know the area, at the time it wasn't the best, and I don't think it's the best now either. And he had an unlocked truck with a briefcase in it sitting out in front of this gym in a public parking lot. I grabbed this briefcase and I followed him up to his office. And when he opened, well, first of all, he says, "How much do you want?" And I said, $5,000 and 100 T-shirts, because he also had a T-shirt printing company, which is why the shirts from the 2004 Nationals also had Trans-Canada Fitness on them. He opened up that briefcase and he pulled out a shrink-wrapped package of $20 bills and said, "Here you go." Thunk. There must have been $100,000 in cash in that briefcase that was sitting in his unlocked truck. Red flag number one, which I paid no attention to. Handed me that money, walked away. We had the Nationals. Fast forward a little bit, and this is not perfectly in chronological order, but it's related to the national championships. So I ordered 4 arm wrestling tables, and they were being shipped from Poland, which is where they're manufactured. These arm wrestling tables are en route, and they get held up in Canada Customs. So I call Steve and I said, "We got a huge problem." I said, "These tables," and it is 1 week before the event. 1 week before the event. They're in customs, and customs is not going to release them in time for the event. And he said, "Let me make a phone call." So he made a phone call, and all of a sudden my phone rings, and I pick up the phone, and it's this guy that is Steve's guy, and he happens to be in Ottawa where these things are being held. And he takes some details from me. He says, "Leave it with me." And all of a sudden, 2 hours passes. 2 hours passes. I get a phone call saying, "Your arm wrestling tables have been released from customs, and they will be there in the next 2 days." Red flag. Do. Fast forward a little bit. They're holding the Canada's Strongest Woman competition in Lac du Bonnet.
You got the tables okay for that?
The tables showed up 2 days later. No problem.
Okay.
No duty, no fees, nothing. Just released and sent.
Okay.
In that time period, the Canada's Strongest Woman competition is being held in the parking lot of his Trans-Canada Fitness gym in Lac du Bonnet. Now, at the time, I owned the gym in Portage la Prairie. So Lifetime Health Club, I had owned that for a couple of years. And wasn't a cash cow, kept me busy. It was kind of a thing that had run its course. I always wanted to own a gym. I ended up with a health club. Close enough, right? Steve approaches me and says, "Hey, Ryan, you interested in selling that gym?" And I said, "Well, sure, Steve, let's talk about it." And he made me an offer. And he we came to an agreement on the price right then and there on that day, during that event on one of the breaks. We go into his office and he says, "What would you like for a deposit?" And I said, he goes, "How?" Well, I didn't say anything. I was like, "What do you think?" He's like, "How's $20,000 sound?" And I said, "That would be perfect." He hands me a shrink wrapped bundle of $20,000 in $100 bills. Red flag number 3. Okay. I take this money on a handshake, but I know in my heart of hearts, I'm like, okay, I know this is a handshake deal and I would never do this. But had I just decided to keep that $20,000, I felt like bad things may happen to me.
I agree.
So we went through with the deal. The deal closed. He assumed ownership. And if you remember this, Lifetime Health Club became TransCanada Fitness. I stayed on and I ran the gym for several months, and the nationals had came and went. And Steve, I see him from time to time. So he's got, he's telling me about these mods he's doing. Like he had a thing for Dodge Vipers. Okay. Remember the Dodge Viper?
Yep.
So those cars were not cheap. They're in the hundreds of thousands of dollars range. He had 2 of them. And he had sent them to Texas to be modded. He had, it was running nearly 1,000 horsepower in each of these cars. He once made a comment to me in the parking lot of what is now Dufresne Furniture. He goes, "You want to see what $300 worth of rubber looks like in a parking lot?" And he did a big power turn in there and just dropped it right there in the parking lot. He had classic cars. He had all of these things. And I was like, wow, like this guy's got it together. So at the time, there was a TransCanada Fitness in Winnipeg, Lac du Bonnet, Revelstoke, BC, and one in Las Vegas, which I found all the locations were odd to me, but whatever. Mm-hmm. I mean, you know, you have all these gyms. You got 3 in Manitoba, you got 1 in BC, you got 1 in Vegas with visions of, you know, expanding even further. Then he's also running a supplement company called Omni Sport Nutrition. And this one was interesting because it was at the time, so think about what supplements taste like now. Some people can't stomach them right now.
Yeah.
20 years ago, they were way worse. It was like mixing chalk into water and just trying to drink it.
Sand water.
To this day, Omni Sport Nutrition was the best tasting protein supplement that I have ever tried in my life.
Wow.
And it was cheap, and he would give it to me. And I noticed that as I was taking this, and my protein count was in the hundreds of grams per day, which is for you fitness people, that's a lot. I was not getting stronger. I was actually regressing in my training. So I switched back to Omnisport Nutrition, which is like, I mean, they're still around to this day. And my strength started increasing. And then another person that had competed in strongman actually was able to send this stuff away to get tested. There was no protein in these supplements, or such trace amounts that it was like, you might as well drink Diet Coke, right?
Powdered Nesquik.
Yeah, basically. That's why it was so good. I was like, what's going on? Maybe red flag number 4?
Yeah, 4.
Anyway, time is passing. I told them, like, hey, I'm too busy. I can't run the gym anymore. I was working full-time at Agassiz Youth Center. So here I am, a corrections guy. I'm involved in that of justice. And I get rid of I've cut ties with this fella. My phone rings one morning, and it's my friend who was another strongman competitor, and he says, turn on your TV. And on the news, I am seeing this massive international drug bust that includes the RCMP, Interpol, the FBI, and it is across all of North America, essentially. And they had seized assets. They had went in and they had found it was all based on a methamphetamine manufacturing ring, and they had seized barrels and barrels of raw ephedrine.
Wow.
So I'm putting this all together in my head, and they had made arrests. Steve was one of the guys that got arrested, and he was kind of at the forefront of it. So our minds are blown, like this is all unfolding. Well, I get a call from the RCMP, and 2 officers come to my house. And when they saw the house I lived in, like it was like the smallest house in Portage up on 5th Street Northwest. It was very modest. We were just starting out. It was, my daughter had just been born. We lived in this little wee house, and they come in and they're like, well, clearly you're not living large. These 2 RCMP officers, their business cards were like, had gold writing on them. I was like, what is this? And they're like special investigators. But they started telling me all the things that I shouldn't have maybe known, but they had told me that I was recorded on several calls.
Wow.
Like they had tapped all this guy's phones, and I was heard on many of them talking to him about business and stuff. And they had no concerns with my conversations or business dealings with this gentleman. They had actually asked me at one point during this interview if I wanted my gym back. And I said, no, like this is this is not a path I want to go down. I don't want to, these guys are, I really don't want to do anything that's offside with these guys now. Yeah. But they told me that this gentleman, Steve, like they had tracked him for years. He went from owning a gym that was bouncing checks to quite literally having so much money that he did not know what to do with it. They found duffel bags full of cash in bus lockers. They had found bags of cash buried. There was another prominent person in Winnipeg that when they raided his house, they found a gym bag that had $1 million in cash and a handgun. And it was like a bug out bag, but they had grabbed him and that before he had fled. And all of his assets were seized. The amazing piece of this to me is that he continued to run the gyms. They didn't take the gyms. They let him continue business as usual as he was awaiting his court date, because his wife was actually the one running the fitness facilities. So this is all craziness. Like it goes on. And then one day, well, let's back this up a little bit. I find out that this gentleman is not like Steve. He's not in good health. He's literally on the waiting list for a heart transplant. But to the day that he passed away, he was using performance enhancing drugs. And if you know anything about anabolic steroids, you know that if you abuse those, it can have serious implications for your heart.
Like every wrestler from the 90s.
Yeah, well, they did many more things, but he was one of the funniest things I ever heard in my life was when we had the women's strongest the Canada's strongest woman event in the parking lot of his gym. He bypassed the competition and all the people that were there as dignitaries and went in and did a workout. And I'm standing there with Hugo Girard, who is a legend in Canadian strongman. He was Canada's strongest man and competed in the world's strongest man and other big strongman events. And for a period of time, he was considered the strongest man on the planet. He looks at me and he goes, what does he think he's going to be, Mr. Olympia? Like, just to say, like, all these people are here, come and, hang out at the event that you have sponsored and you are doing these things at. But no, he went in and worked out. He had some quirks about him. So one of those quirks is whenever he bought a gym, he immediately removed every metal plate from the gym because he could not stand the sound of the clanging of the metal plates going on and off the bars. He replaced them all with rubber coated plates, and he basically gave away all the metal plates. So there are some strongman facilities that were really well equipped with weights after that, because he just basically gave this stuff away. And he also, and I agree with him on this, thought that 35-pound plates had no place in a gym. Why not just have 25s, 45s, and then 10s and 5s and so on and so forth to make up that extra stuff? So he got rid of all those too. Basically just threw them away or donated them. And we're talking like I mean, in today's money, you're paying $2 a pound for those
Right.
those weights, and he just tossed all of it. So tragically, there's another story where the manager of the gym in Portage was on the phone with Roger and said, and he's kind of giving her grief, and she said to him, "I think you need a nap." And he says, "I think you're right." And he put his phone down, didn't hang up, and he went and had a nap. Just walked away. But he tragically passed away from heart complications,
Okay.
and before the court was ever settled. All of those goods were seized. They went away. I think 3 years later, I saw the Vipers and the classic cars go up in an RCMP auction.
Oh, really?
Yeah. But yeah, that is my story about FBI, Interpol, and they busted people all over North America in one big swoop.
Tune in next week to find out what other mobsters and gangsters Ryan's hung out with in the past.
Yeah, so this one was interesting.
Wow.
I was very intrigued. Wasn't really scared because I knew I didn't do anything wrong to anybody involved in the whole process, even the gangsters. Like, I never, I did what I said I was going to do, and everything worked out for me. But holy smokes, like that was a big story at the time.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah, it was wild.
Interesting.
Yeah, that's the whole story of Trans-Canada Fitness. And if you remember back in the day, like my friend Tyler and I worked out all the time together at the Trans-Canada Fitness, even after all this. And one day, the doors, we showed up and they were just locked. And those gyms were not self-sufficient. And the only one that remained open was the one in Lac du Bonnet. The one in Portage closed the doors without warning. And we had to have a meeting with the manager of Canadians just to be allowed. And it took some convincing, some serious convincing.
Yeah.
And we had to go up the chain a little bit just to be able to go in with him for 5 minutes to get the stuff out of our lockers.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
And then it remained closed for a period of time and reopened under a cooperative, because all the equipment that was left in there was just left in there. There was nothing, no real ownership to it. Canadians assumed ownership of all of it and turned over the facility and the equipment to the cooperative that was formed, and now Portage Fitness Co-op. That is your origin story.
Wow. I bet you most members there don't even have a clue.
They would not have a clue.
That's why you always have to tune into the Keepin It Real podcast.
That's right. So that rubber floor, Greg Foust and I put the majority of that down. I'm the one that made it a 24-hour gym. And yeah.
Wow.
Now you know.
Yeah. That's a cool story.
Yeah.
Lies, deceit, dirty money.
Dirty money that
methamphetamine.
I didn't have to give back. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, no kidding.
Which was, I mean, I got what I needed.
So he did purchase the gym from you.
He did. He finished the deal. He paid me in cash. There was like the rest of that money all came in cash.
And then when you were offered the gym back by law enforcement, was that to purchase it back?
I didn't even go down the path.
Didn't even go.
I just declined. They said, okay. And they said, here's our card. You'll probably never hear from us again. And I didn't.
Yeah. Interesting.
And I followed it on the news like everyone else.
Wow. That's a good story.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And here we are. We all survived.
Be tough to top that one.
Well, I've heard a few of yours. As far as laughs go.
Well, mine don't involve law enforcement.
Yeah.
Well, actually, a couple of them do from when I was younger. But no, that's great. So, which brings us to what are we talking about next week?
I think we have a pretty good idea. And this one is going to require your input. So you remember a couple episodes ago, we had some doozies sent in. We're going to need some of those again, because the topic is
first dates, the good, the bad, and the ugly. If you've got a good story, you've got a disaster, you've got something super embarrassing, let us know. Get a hold of us on Facebook, Instagram, even give us a call. Our numbers are very public, and we want to hear your stories. So I think it'll be a good one. I've got a couple stories of my own, and I don't know about you. you're not a romantic like I am, but you might have a.
I don't have first date disaster stories. I'm sorry to disappoint you all, but
I have a good full circle story. I got a couple disaster stories. But yeah, we'll touch on that next week. But yeah, anything else you got, Ryan?
That's it for me.
Okay.
Thanks for watching, everybody.
Thanks for watching the Keepin It Real Podcast.
Don't forget to hit like on the video, share the video if you are so willing, and make sure you subscribe to the channel. It's on my real estate channel, so there's all kinds of other stuff that's going to flood your feed. But yeah, subscribe. You'll see the alerts. Click the little bell. You get a notification. But we are going to post these, of course, every Tuesday, as long as we're around.
Yeah. And like always, we want your input and we welcome your feedback as well. So till next time,
you say it.
Keep it real.